So let's talk about Wales 10, South Africa 45. And it was men v boys. It's just a description. It's not really a criticism. Wales tried to do a lot right. They're just completely outclassed. And the experience of South Africa really showed. Even though South Africa tried a lot of players, it still didn't have the effect of making them much weaker, and actually their attack was probably the best it has been in this autumn series, as that was their priority in this game, and they largely succeeded. It wasn't fully smooth as you'd expect. They were trying completely new half-back pairing in the Hendrickse brothers, and there were some other changes there, but it was very much job achieved for South Africa. So welcome to this video supported by Sports News Blitz, the one-stop shop for podcasts and great sports journalistic content. Let's get into this game, and straight away Wales actually looked okay for the first couple of minutes. There was some muscular stuff from Schwinzer with a good carry, some good early decisions from Costello, and that was my big worry for Costello. He makes crazy decisions, and it was looking okay until Dyer gets too excited and takes Hendrickse in the air. They did that I think 3 times in this game, did Wales. Just when they were starting to get a little bit of a sniff of an attack, they made a mistake. So yes, South Africa squashed them, but also they didn't help themselves. And South Africa pour onto the ball. Wilco Low makes too much ground and actually exposes himself for a jackal by Botham and Gareth Thomas. Botham, I thought, had a decent game. He was a bright spark there. But Arenza, the back three, was so good for South Africa. He wins a high ball, and then the second cap for Hendrickse, Jordan Hendrickse. Now, he has a really good start as he flashes a pass wide to Creel, who looked really quick in this game, really athletic. And the Welsh are backtracking too fast. They can't realign, and Mostert just hits a line without them watching, and he goes straight through. So 0-7 after 5 minutes. A bad start, because Wales actually did quite a lot right in this opening period, but they're 2 tries down after 8 minutes. Costello takes the ball in, nothing wrong with that. Elric Lowe makes the tackle, but then pops back up onto his feet before the ruck is there and just shifts aside Schwinzer and Griffin. Amazing stuff from Elric Lowe. In the Rugby Championship, he had a crack at taking that number 8 jersey. I said I didn't quite think he'd had it over Visa, but as a replacement for Pieter-Steph du Toit, an alternative to Pieter-Steph du Toit at blindside, I think Elric Lowe is the man. Ben Jason Dixon had the shot at it in the Rugby Championship and had a poor one by his own admission. Elric Lowe seems to be that replacement. That's probably the biggest thing they got out of this game, just class replacement for a top-class player. Anyway, that counter-ruck clears it the way for Arenza to break and feed Etzebeth for another try. So 0-12, just as Wales was starting to do a few things right, they're 2 tries down. And Wales compound this by a poor drop ball from the new fullback Blair Murray. It was a really strange pick. In the preview show, I said I'm not sure why Gatland's playing Murray at 15. Don't see him as a 15, and he definitely isn't. So that was a poor call, a bit desperate there. Anyway, more big rucking from South Africa, force an offside penalty, and they pour on the pressure. And at least Wales hold out for a little bit here. Plumtree's lying on the ruck, and they get an attack in the 22. Big mauls. Big scrum. That first scrum for Wales actually looked fairly solid, and then it went downhill because the scrum had been looking okay for Wales in this autumn series until they get smashed later in this game. South Africa pound the line. It's one out runners to start with in this game. They get better as the game goes on with some deception. It's something they need to add, like we saw for Ireland against Fiji. South Africa are trying to do that. We saw more tip-ons, more offloads as the game went on. Khaleesi powers through the very small centre Ben Thomas, and I did say in the preview I just don't see the point of playing Ben Thomas as 12. As good a player as he is, he's just too small against a team like South Africa. When he moves into 10, I think it's a lot better fit. But anyway, he goes over, but Jack Morgan and Botham, they double team to hold up Khaleesi. So great play from those two, the flankers. Like I said, the bright point for Wales. But after about 10 minutes of pure attacking pressure, the try's going to come. It's simple, but pretty perfect. The maul stopped, so they flash it wide, and Colby comes around from the blind to make the extra passer. He's a really good ball handler. He's got everything, Colby, to be honest. And they goes wide to Fassi, who feeds Arenza, and Murray and Hathaway both over-chase badly, and Arenza just steps. It's pretty bad defending from Murray and Hathaway. Neither player, I think, had a good game. Hathaway, I said, hasn't played well for Gloucester, definitely hasn't played for Wales, and again, made a stack of mistakes here. So again, those two, just bad selections, I'm afraid. Definitely not ready for those positions. Anyway, there is the try there, so it's 0-19. Really bad start for Wales, of course. But they do get their first entry into the South African half with a scrum. But like I said, just as Wales' scrum had been a strong point this autumn, they get annihilated in this game. You've got Thomas Tatoy operating at loose head instead of tight head, and Wilco Lowe at tight head demolish the first penalty there. To win a penalty, South Africa go right back into the 22, camping there. And also South Africa are trying to build some depth at hooker. Grobelaar here had a really good game. Big throw over the top. Tidy play, carries around the corner. It looks like they're over, but Murray actually rolls under Fassi to hold him up. So 2 good hold-ups, and it could have been a lot worse for Wales early on. On the half hour, it's just pure South African attack. Hendrickse brothers nearly combine with a little chip over the top, and the bounce just evades Hendrickse. That could easily have been another try. Etzebeth is off, which is a bit of a problem. Doesn't look too bad. But of course, who have you got to come on but R.G. Snyman? And he was fantastic straight away, getting over the gain line. His offloads make a big difference. And we get a bit more from the tight play. Grobelaar, a lovely tip on, but once again, it's no try. Khaleesi's over, but there's a knock on in the build-up. So they could have been absolutely clear by this point on half an hour. Then Gatland has to do something, makes a panic sub. Griffin comes off, Azarati on. I didn't think it would help at the time. I made a note, and it absolutely didn't. Dowie Lake, finally just before half-time, gives Wales a sniff of something to cheer about. A really good tackle, then jackal, straight from kick-off. They get a crack from 5 metres with the maul. 3 cracks with the maul. They don't actually make any ground, so they go to the pick and go closer and closer, and then they go wide, and Dyer wraps around nicely to show good pace to run round Jordan Hendrickse. So that was the highlight there. It probably actually saved South Africa a yellow card because they were getting in penalty trouble. So 5-26. So into the second half, and we see a much more ambitious South Africa attack in this game. When the Hendrickse brothers were picked, lots of comments saying it's going to be a kick fest, but it absolutely wasn't. They were trying to practice their attack. Lots more offloads, lots more passes, taking priority over the kicking. Another chance for Wales was thwarted by a big South African scrum. Azarati got smashed, didn't make a difference, as I thought. And even then, even though they're so dominant, Erasmus just takes off the front row, puts another one on that's equally as good. Just takes a mick, to be honest, how good that is. Right, 46 minutes. South Africa simply have better rugby players. I make a note here. Snyman, another miracle offload. Arenza ducking and diving, going through. Him and Colby, of course, have a cool day. Even when it's not on, they make something happen. Morgan and Botham again, heroics on the jackling. Those two, the star players for Wales for sure. Wales are trying to launch. They do okay. They use Morgan sometimes to launch. Eddie James occasionally. They do get a little bit of gain line. And South Africa are getting a bit loose with their offloading as well. There's an elbow off the ball, a tackle off the ball. That gives Wales a must-score opportunity from a 5-metre line out. Lake goes for a long throw. It's a bit weird because South Africa are on their own line, so they've only got to go up 5 metres rather than 10 for Wales, and South Africa swallow it up. So I don't know what was going on there. Maybe a miscommunication, but that was a big mistake just when they needed it. But it gets compounded as Lake just chips the ball away as he gets desperate. Hathaway kicks out on the full, and they absolutely kill themselves. Anyway, on comes another newbie, Cameron Hannacombe, who could be, the number 8 to take over from Visa maybe one day. And like I said, if you have Elric Lowe as a replacement, blindside, that works really nicely. The South African backline, it does the trick, a simple 3-on-3, but Khaleesi runs a little out-to-win decoy, and it completely bamboozles Bevan, who follows him in rather than holding his space, and that's enough for Fassi to fly past Hathaway. Simple stuff, great try. Those outside backs, that whole backline for South Africa was fire. It's just perfect, the balance. That's 5:31. On 61 minutes, I had a little chuckle to myself as Elias comes on, Lake goes off, and the Welsh fans maybe have a little groan inside as they know there's no chance of coming back. And indeed, South African monster Steenekamp powers over for another try. Yeah, men against boys, that one. 5:38. And it looks like from the stats, South Africa are going to carry over 1,000 metres in this game. I'm sure they did. Just going through Wales at will. They just can't stop them. Another interesting point is Pollard is on, but at 12. And he actually does a pretty decent job as a battering ram. Making good ground, getting some offloads, not playing that 10 role at all, occasionally passing it, but really as a runner. Anyway, the South African back three, absolutely class. Curtly Arenza anticipating a crossfield kick from Thomas so easily and launching Fassi straight back at them. To be fair to Wales, in this last 10 minutes, they don't throw in the towel. That is a big positive for Wales. They kept going and going. They were outclassed, but they absolutely kept harrying away. On 74 minutes, South Africa get their last try. It's Pollard with another big carry, pop off the floor, and then brilliant stuff from sub-scrum half Reinach, who breaks blind, makes extra man, and offloads round the back of Freddie Clark for Hendrickse to round off an excellent game for him. 5:45. And Wales do finish on a bit of a high. It is a consolation, of course. A good maul from Wales, some slow ball bash, and then 2 good carries from Jack Morgan, gets some gain line, and Botham picks and goes over. So those two, the star men, make that try at the end there. A bit of fire, 10:45. They were absolutely hammered. Let's say it how it is. Could Gatland have done a lot different? I don't know. Maybe the selections of Hathaway and Murray at the back weren't very good, but the rest I think are as good as Wales can do. They've got to get better as a group. Clearly they are miles behind where South Africa are. Anyway, pop those comments down below. Love to know what you think. Like, subscribe. That would be awesome. And I'll catch you next time.